Hello, hello, and here we are. And I'm waiting to go live on Instagram as usual, but good to see you. A couple people popping in right before even I get on. It's fun. I can actually, it actually comes up on the chat um, before I log in. Let me get this straightened away. That should do it. So Karen and Elise, good to see you. So, which reminds me, sometimes and Tanya, uh, it, sometimes it's like the stream. I'm ending the stream, and so I'm not on, but the comments will come in. So sometimes I don't say hello until, or sometimes I don't respond to the messages right at the end. But I see a whole new menagerie of animals with me today. Oh, great! That's so much fun. I just I think it's fun to have you bring in um, your friends. So a nice you have a nice new picture too. Some of you have a new picture, so that's always fun. Oh, anyway, so here we are, and get yourself a cup of tea or water, like me, and we'll get started. And yeah, I can see Instagram well enough over here. So let me send out my little comment, even though everybody's who's here for the time being is already on, but just to say hello to everyone. So let's take a nice deep breath in and just let yourself relax as you exhale. Let everything just relax, melt away. That's come before the present moment. And we'll see where we go today, but I want to start by explaining something. There's where we think we are and where we are. And if you look at how your language, how you're saying something, it will indicate what level you're at. Um, and we like to think that we're in a certain place, but then there's that language that comes through and says it exactly how we are, and then somebody points it out and it says like, "Oh no, but that's not what I meant." So it yes, it's not what you meant, but it's showing where you are. So you want to pay attention to that. And one thing you can do for yourself is like sit down and pick a situation and how do you explain that situation? Just write it down. First first thoughts in mind. Don't try to edit yourself because that's keeping you from seeing where you really are. It's that piece where it's like I got to be good. I got to be doing this right. So you kind of straighten it out on it's a process as it goes from up here to in your head. But just kind of write it out, and also just paying attention to what people are saying to you and how you're saying it to people, and and just having that state of being a little bit more noticing of yourself and what's going on around you, and you'll pick it up, and it's in for yourself and for others. Of course, work through your stuff, but we like to think that we're in a particular place, but the way we say it, again, the way we express where we are at or how we see something will show what's really going on, where we're really at. So just pay attention to that. And, and it's okay to like, well, no, that's not where I'm at, but come back to yourself afterwards, and take a look at that. And it's like, okay, there's something there. Let's see, what do I need to shift? This is basically your path and your journey in life is to keep moving through into higher states of being, into more of yourself. And moving through that old stuff is and moving through what is not you. what is, maybe coming from an experience, a belief or something like that will keep you lower. And so it's like, let's just shift through that. Asta is joined on the other side. Hello, Asta. So let's take a nice deep breath in. Oh, and the other thing I want to say is that on the Wednesdays where we don't meet, I go in the space and I set up the space as if, I'm coming online, but I'm not doing online, I'm doing it remotely. And so, feel free to join. And I just do it from 7 to 7:30. So you're welcome to tune in at that time on the Wednesdays that we don't meet. We're doing it in the ethers, so just to be aware of that. It's not just I'm not just going into meditation. I'm actually setting up the space just like that. Is this to do with my comment about going back to UK in the PS Hudson? I don't know. I didn't see your comment, but take a look at that. Where I am versus where I want to be. I don't know. Take a look at that. And it's interesting, you don't notice it right away, but sometimes you go back to comments that you've made and are like, oh, yeah, okay, this, it will really jump out. And Elzava, hello. And so it will jump out at you in a different way because you've shifted, so that or you shifted enough to see, okay, there's something sticking here and to work through. So really good. So nice deep breath in. Yeah. Letting that settle in, letting yourself feel that in your being, in your body. And yes, some of you have this piece about being critical of yourself, you know. So that comes from a lot of places. Different, it can come from different directions, but basically we can kind of just leave it at abuse. I've been called to clean up unfinished business storage space over there. So now I want to look at that comment. Yes, yes, take a look at that. Take a look at what you said, um, and how you're looking at it. So settling in, yeah, letting that settle and opening up to that internal peace for yourself, coming into yourself, coming home. This is home in physical land, at least physical land, dimension level. Your home on earth. Yeah, nice space opening up here. Very, very quiet, very gentle. Come into your chest, your heart space area. Just kind of breathing into that. And let's take ourselves down to the earth. Let's connect into the earth. So if you're outside, maybe noticing your feet on the ground. If you're not feeling your feet on the ground, even if you're 30 stories up, you know, reaching down, letting yourself connect to the earth and the living beings of the earth. The living beings, there's a lot of different beings from different places who are here on earth. And I say that because yesterday, I was walking on the beach in midday, right after lunch, and I go to face the ocean to look at the waves, and poof, it just hits me, and I can see them, and they're further out. I had an experience which is in my blog. I wrote about the whale encounter in my blog, which was a year and a half ago. About and so they weren't around me this time. They were further out, but I could really feel their presence, and I just started crying. um, and just expressing my appreciation to them because I could feel them so strongly. And it was really interesting because I was facing the ocean and then I turned to walk and then instantly I was kind of back in human land. And then I turned to face the ocean and the waves and then I felt it again just washing over me. Just it's like that connection letting me know they're there, just connecting with me. Um so we it's so easy to get caught up in what we think is reality and and all the stuff that that entails. That entails a lot, doesn't it? What we think is reality and what we think is important, what we think we have to pay attention to, and what's calling our attention away from this inner peace, this inner connection, this deeper connection to existence and to ourselves, because it's one and the same, really. And it's sometimes we get caught up into it. Um, Sometimes we're like we've opened up a lot, and then there's stuff that's clearing out, and then it throws us around, and it even happens to me. Um, and then you just reorient. Everything shifts. You go through the stuff. Everything shifts. Remind yourself, when you're getting thrown around, and it's like, okay, maybe I'm just detoxing here. So do something to kind of express it out. So let it come out, whether it's through drawing or writing or even moving to you feel it internally and then you let it come through. So even with body movement, that's good too. But connecting into the earth. So let's kind of do this right now and just see if you can feel that space that we're in. It's very soft, it's very beautiful, it's um as you could say pure feminine uh earth, and just that sense of being held, being, I don't know, it's hard to describe it, but it's all around, and so that feeling of being held, of being, I mean, nurtured. It can feel like nurturing, supported in that purity of love. And that's all we really need to do. Everything beyond that is extra, cherry on it. It can be like the frosting on top if you want. Um, but this is the cake. This piece is the cake. So let's really let ourselves sit in this, because when you sit in this and when you let yourself come into this, you don't need anything else. You realize that there's everything's taken care of. Everything is there for you. And when you go deep enough, then you can also bring that through you. You don't need any external stuff, and even this, I'm doing this, which is an external thing, right? Uh, just to support you, to remember. It's to support ourselves to remember because it can be very easy to kind of lose sense of that. So that storage thing, I don't know what you got over there at storage, but one of the questions for you could be is like, do I really need to go back? Or can I just let that go? Um, can I just step away from that? And, it might depend what you have in storage over there, but um, just a good, just a little, just something to take a look at. What the hell, Yeah, I appreciate your reminder. Yeah, yes. And letting yourself unwind, kind of like after a really long day, hard day at work or a long week at work, you can just get to that place where you can just let yourself relax. So right now in this space, just letting everything melt away and just coming into that breath. Could it be just moved to another unit? Okay. That's still kind of holding on to that. So I'm thinking even, that's an option. And that it is also, well, just that stuff can just get dumped, disappear, be non-existent. It's whether you do it or not, it's not the question, but entertaining that to see, you know, see what comes up around that. So lots of options there, yeah. And when you can give yourself the space to just kind of come into where we're at right now. In fact, let's just do this for everybody. Um, so, Sydney, it sounds like you have a, a potential situation, but everybody think of a situation you've got where you can't figure it out. You can't, it's kind of turning around in your head. What do I do? I want this to happen. That just kind of bring it to mind right now if you haven't already. But okay, already as soon as there's a bit of that going on. So just notice that and just let yourself come into this space and just be present with that. Come into your breath, and it's okay if you're still noticing that thing. Just kind of notice that wherever it is around you. Maybe it's like up here because your mind is going dee 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 dee. Dee. And notice that, and then just kind of even as you come into your breath, just notice that, and just breathe. Just relax into your breath, even as you're noticing this piece float around. Yeah. Ah, yeah. That just brought up some distorted structures here. And I say that because that's how I see them. I see like literally also there's these black lines that are kind of jagged that show up around people. And let yourself just melt just into the space, letting go of being the foreman. Yeah, for example, okay. Yeah, wow. There's a lot. Whew, okay, that's a really good one for you. There's quite a bit for you. It ties into a lot of different things. A lot of the heart. It really, God, it feels like it's like a big weight on your heart space there. So letting go. So, okay, you've got this thing you want to figure out, and you don't know how it's going to play out, what's going to happen, what you should do, da 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 da. And just notice that all that, da, 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 and just kind of keep breathing. Of course, you it might be a little difficult because it really, it's just like your heart space is just so it's not even clamped down. It's like full of garbage. Okay. So focus on, let's see, come into your sides. Notice the breath. Notice your body at the sides, at your sides, and notice the breath expanding thing because there's just so much junk in your heart with that at least partly connected to this piece. But so come into the sides. So just kind of take a step back from that because I think if you come in your heart space, you're just gonna be you're like in the middle of that, if that makes sense. And just keep focusing on the breath, focusing on just everybody just relaxing out. Yeah, and some people are already I already see the little light bulb going on for off for some people. It's like bing. So it might not come in the idea might the answer, the solution or whatever might not come in quite yet at the mental level, but the little light is going off. So there's that. Just let yourself kind of come in more deeply into this space, into the earth. This space today is very much connected with the earth and feminine aspect of the earth and just that space of love from the earth. So that's why that feeling of maybe being held, being nurtured, being loved. Yeah, get that unwinding. Maybe notice where you feel the tension. Just taking that moment. It's like it could be in your head, it could be in your heart, it could be lower abdomen, it could be anywhere in your body or just around you. Yeah. Letting emotion, there might be some emotion. I feel like there's some sadness or grief that's for my buddy El Zava today. Going by El Zava. Um, just some deeper sadness there might be coming through. That's fine. Just let it come up because that's keeping you from resolving, bringing to completion, finding your answer, finding that better place, better state of being. Huh, yeah. Very nice. Ooh, Really good. Letting go of a lot of juicy stuff there. It's a lot of sticky stuff. Ah, and sometimes we can just have a hard time letting go of something. And that's basically an identity or belief about yourself, about life that's keeping it in there. Kind of this understanding we have about how life works, what life is supposed to be, what we're supposed to be, kind of getting into all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to ask you a question. Just put the idea in your mind because it's worth just taking a moment to, at least a moment, to take this in. Looking at whatever it is you're looking at, whatever is around you right now. What if all this is just an image? I'll get to you in a minute, Karen. Right now, yeah. So just notice that they're around you. Okay, they're out here. Come into yourself. This is me. Okay, that's not me. Nope, nope. I'm not going to go there. Come into me. Me. And literally touch. I will do that. Feel your body because this helps you feel your body even more. So that helps you to separate out more. A lot of mental stuff. There's a way you pull it in with a mental, kind of getting caught up in here. A little bit of a long habit, long before you habit that you kind of inherited there. Yeah, it's kind of a disease of the West, we could say, is that mental piece, that logic. Yeah. And so sometimes you have to be kind of just really clear. You you keep getting tested, and just notice how e- uh, if you're having it a little bit, even if it's just a little tiny bit better, easier time to just say no, disconnect. You feel yourself coming through a little strongly, or separates out a little bit more quickly. But I can tell you just from personal experience, keeps coming up, and keeps coming up until you finally break. But you should be able to notice that each time that stuff comes up, because it's such a habit, and it connects into stuff that you're still in the process of slowly clearing up for yourself. Um, that it's getting a little easier. It might not feel like, if you look back when you first, it's like totally surrounded, it's like swarming. No, help, help. You can't see worth anything, and then realizing um, it feels like a test. Yeah. So it's just so here's another way to look at it. Um, is that they're coming in because this is like, okay, you can do better. It's sort of like the coach you don't like, who's making you work really hard, but who's making you really good and really strong. So it's like, okay, game on. Where do I need to strengthen? I feel like they're all arguing. Well, you get so take a look at each identity. So you can look at that image and what is that identity that's holding that image? There's where's that coming from? There's past stuff. There's stuff that's not even you that you just took on. You think you maybe like family. We belong here. Kind of belief, kind of statements, kind of attitude. Um, so look at those. Look at what needs to shift through all of those so that you can really get clear on what you need to do. So as many different directions as you want to pick, but three is good. That I don't belong to either. Okay, you belong to yourself first of all and foremost. That's what you belong to. So it depends where that one of I don't belong to either goes to, because that still doesn't feel like it's clean like it should be, because the clean says, well, I belong right here. I am right where I belong. Every minute of where you are is exactly where you belong. If it wasn't, you'd be somewhere else. Your higher self would have you somewhere else. Feels ancestral sometimes. Yes, spot on. Um, I get that I signed on for this. Okay, you probably signed on for this because you didn't know any better. You were not awake enough to realize that it's like, no, this is optional. This is optional. Yes, to myself, that's what I keep you belong, and it's not just to yourself. It's exactly where you are in the moment, what you're doing. And Asta, if you have any comments, you're welcome to. It's like I'm kind of more on YouTube, but I can see if you're posting stuff. So just to make sure that you can get what you need to. I never noticed there was sadness. Yeah, and sometimes it's really deep. It's a deep sadness, um, and uh, we get caught up in a lot of things. And my sense is that for a lot of good reasons, a lot of valid reasons. Let's put it that way. You've had a tendency to really show yourself to the external, like bright, positive, um, kind of space. There's survival in that, you know. So, but yeah, there's some good sadness in there. So very nice. Yeah, good. Let's take a nice deep breath in. So good unwinding for people. Yeah, good unwinding. I feel sadness as well. Yeah. Yeah, different kind of sadness. Yeah, I feel that in you. I can feel that more in your lower abdomen, kind of second chakra area for you. Wanting more, it's like the dream of more, and then it hasn't really come through. That dream hasn't really come through. So that can be a tough one. Um, and how to move through that and how to move beyond that. And so one of the things to and this is one that I can have a hard time too, but it's like that dream helped you to move away, to start moving away from where you were. Like I want to say it helped you move away from family. So the dream in itself was important for that. And maybe letting go of the dream. It doesn't mean that you won't have the dream, but we just kind of need to let go of that, because if you've moved far enough beyond what it helped you move out of, it was like a way to not hold on to a lot of stuff from your family that wasn't so good, if that makes sense. Um, and so appreciate the dream for that. And um, Sadie, we have a new friend, Sadie, popping in. Good to see you. Sadie's an artist. Sadie does art, so I know her from doing art stuff. So good for joining us. I would come back and listen to this. We have this very lovely space today. So just take a deep breath in, letting yourself settle in, relax in, letting go of that stress. Yeah. So let's take a nice deep breath in, everybody, wherever you're at. Hold it and then just let yourself relax, a little bit more wherever you are. Yeah. And again, feeling that connection to the earth, no matter how far up the ground, off the ground you think you are. You think about the tallest building in the world and how big it is relative to the planet. That's not too far off the planet, right? It's not too far off the surface when you look at size wise. Yeah, so there's a bit of sadness, Sadie. There's a bit of sadness coming up for you. So it might be stress. It might be just stress. But I feel like there's an emotional stress coming through for you. So that's fine. That's good. Good place to be in the space to just let it unwind for ourselves. Yeah. And notice if you have any resistance to just relaxing or just feeling a, a nice space, being in a nice space. Okay. Um, that happens because we get used to being in a negative space. So it's what we're used to. And then when we come into a space that's positive, that's supporting, that's nurturing, that's whatever, it's not familiar. It's foreign. So there's nothing wrong with you. Just take a breath into that. If you feel like there's that little resistance or a little edge there, just take breath into that. And on the exhale, just like it's like, okay, we can just let's relax into this. That's typical PTSD and of trauma, any kind of trauma or um, like who hasn't been through trauma, right? Varying degrees. And to the external, some people might look like they have more trauma. It takes a whole big nasty situation, but anything that hits you in a disjointed way is trauma to your system, trauma on your nervous system. So just acknowledging that, it's like, yeah, I feel that edge, I feel that resistance. It's okay. Just kind of breathe into that resistance. Just it's like fine, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that it's your nervous system needs to adjust. It needs to just kind of settle in slowly. Yeah. Yeah, very good. Yeah, so there can be a real tendency to move on to something else because we feel that edge. And so this is a really nice piece to bring up to the group because this happens, it's that PTSD thing from any kind of trauma that you've had. And you're used to something, and so I think, okay, I just need to step out of this situation. We go off and do something else. Next time, or even right now, if you're thinking about that, is to just notice that resistance, allow yourself to breathe into that, stretch into that edge. Don't have to go too far with that. In fact, you don't want to go too far with that. You just want to start, get a little bit of relaxation. Next time you feel that edge, that kind of nervousness, just take a deep breath into that, saying, "It's okay. One more second, we'll be fine. It's going to be all right." You can hold it for 2 seconds, 3 seconds, even 5 seconds for the first time is really good. And then stepping away. And Glenna, good to see you. Gosh, I've been thinking of you lately. You've been on my mind. So real nice to see you. Good to see you. Glad you joined. Um, what's C PTSD? What does the C stand for? I don't know. Why do things like EMDR and EFT don't work? Well, one thing I've noticed for both, I haven't done a whole lot with those, but what I've noticed from the people that I have known who have facilitators who do EMDR, EFT, there's there's a certain mental level that it's kind of at, it sits at, and complex. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure what that means by complex PTSD. I think PTSD is complex, period. I'm not sure what exactly that entails, but just PTSD. Um, and at least one piece around that I would say that I'm feeling in with that question is that there's a part of you that needs to who's been through that experience, who needs to be heard, who needs to be held, who needs to verbalize, who needs to express that. And so things like EMDR and EFT that are great can be a way of just pushing that aside. And so that it's like that little inner child wants to say, it's not. And so that can drive them in deeper. Multiple traumatic events, usually ongoing. I'm sorry, PTSD. I can't think. I'd like to know one situation where it's PTSD that's associated with only one event. I do EMDR, use resource connection with people. Yeah. So that's multiple approaches, multiple pieces need to come in. Absolutely. So it's not that they're not good. Um, EMDR uses your higher self. I will have a question mark on that. I think it will depend on it will, yeah, I think that's yes and no. I think it's both, just from my experience and what I've seen with practitioners that I've known. So not to bash it. Understand it's not bashing it, but it doesn't always hit the right thing. So it can help let go of that edge, kind of shift through that edge. And then there's deeper work that needs to come in. Sydney, because it is multifactorial and needs safety in relationship and somatic practice and attachment focused practice, being seen, held, shifted body. Yeah, so all of those can be good. There's a practice called reversing, that's a really interesting piece. Um, it's not about a method, but about being nurtured and learning to feel safe. Yes, so all those pieces are really good pieces. So things like EMDR and EFT it can be part of the process. In fact, anything is only part of the process because there's all these different layers that need to be addressed. There's all these different levels of the self and it depends on where the trauma is getting stored, where, because it could be mental, it could be emotional, it could be in the physical body, it could be in the memory, it could be inherited. I mean, I've had stuff that I can feel, and so it's acting on my physical body, at least it feels on my physical body, and I've got to go through restructure, uh, energetic restructuring. I've been having to do that recently. Stuff that's like I can feel nobody can point their finger on it. I have to go in and it's like, okay, let's clear that restructure at the energetic level because it's not shifting. So there's all these different levels that something can need to be hit at. Um, so I hope that makes sense. Um, so they can take the edge. It can take the edge off. Sometimes that's sufficient. Sometimes more is needed. I mean, I've worked on people and I'm saying, "Well, you've got this going on." And they said, "Well, I thought I already dealt with that." Yeah, you have to one degree, but it's still there's still another piece in there. It's not about a method, about being there. Yeah, so lots of good points here on multiple approaches. Should I just realize how quickly I jumped into identity? That's good for you for noticing. We all do that. That's a really good one. Use your higher self. Yeah. Um, it can get to your higher self, but there's also a way that your mind can also bypass and make it seem like it's your higher self. That that mind can get really tricky. That does happen too. So, but it takes you to certain, it'll take care of a certain amount, but then there's more that needs to be taken. Okay, let's take a nice deep breath in. A lot of good unwinding for everybody. Deep breath. Relax, letting yourself just relax. Let that tension melt away. Coming back into the heart, the chest space. Coming back into that connection to the earth, remembering that connection that is always there, that we're always connected to, always supporting us. And in this moment, let yourself feel appreciation, love, however you want to put it. Yeah, good, Karen. So I can feel the unwinding happening. Yeah, really good. Feel, just think of nature, the earth. If there's a place in nature, if there's a particular piece, particular tree, a particular place in nature, just the earth as a whole, just feel that appreciation for that support. Yeah, feel a sharp pain in the upper back between the shoulder blades and neck. Yeah, a lot. That can kind of get into control pieces there. Um, Also, stuff from the back, just holding on to you, holding on to your emotionally holding on to you, but from behind. So kind of holding you back. Um, can be like from the past or just from people who are just keeping you from stepping forward. So if it helps, getting real tactile with your backside. So even, and I've done this. You can feel your back, and it's like, how do you reach that? Taking your shirt and just pulling it and pushing into it, or pushing into the chair and feeling that chair, so you feel your back. Feel your back, because a lot of times stuff like that, it's actually just energetic. So feeling the 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 tangible physical will help to separate out and say no, no, feeling your body, this is me, kind of thing. So back to that appreciation, Deep breath in. Feeling that appreciation, that love for the earth, for nature. It's there supporting you, even if you're feeling that sharp pain in your back or that wherever, that sadness, whatever it is, feel that appreciation because even now, even in all of that that you're feeling, and Vanessa on the other side, joining in, just feeling that that support is there for you. It's always there. It's always holds you. You know, kind of like the little mom with the little 2-year-old. It's like no matter how much of a tantrum we throw around with how upset we get, that earth is there holding us. It's like, I got you. Even with all the trash that we've dumped on her, she's there. In process of dumping out the trash for herself, she might take care of a few people there, but we got to remember that's this is it. Ah, yeah, and Glenn, I'm hearing the chants and the drumming. That's really nice to hear that. I appreciate that. Ah, there we go. Next time you're out and about, really good clearing. There's a lot that's been cleared out, so I'm just shifting the whole group out of separating that out from everything that's cleared out. Yeah, very nice. Nice light blue sphere that's very solid. Next time you're out and about walking around, shoes or no shoes, doesn't matter, just give yourself a moment to stand there. Stand, feel the earth, connect to the earth, and just kind of feel that appreciation. Stretch from the golden retriever. Little big, big, big heart dogs. Golden retrievers. They're all kind of like just big, big heart. I mean, dogs are in general, but goldens especially. Yeah, very nice. Okay. And one more time, just letting yourself feel that yourself being in this space, being that connection of the earth. Just kind of scanning back through the comments. I think I saw them all. So, yeah, see if I can just anchor this in a little bit more for people individually so that when you step out of the space, when we say goodbye for today, just feel that. And you can come back to this. Yeah, very nice. Um, very beautiful space again. Uh, so next week it's going to be offline. I just create the space and hold the space, and whoever wants to join in at the same time, seven to 7:30. So an hour ago, for those of you who aren't in Europe, there's my QR code for anybody who wants to make a little donation for today. Um, you can also go on my website too, or Instagram, the link in the bio. So come and join in, and if it's only 15 minutes, that's fine. But I do create the space like today to just be there, and so the next time live is the 4th of March, so every other week. And it is good if you join in on the off weeks. It's really good because you're coming in for yourself. You're strengthening for yourself, by yourself, and doing it purposefully for yourself. Oh, okay. Yeah, you missed it. You probably missed last week, right? We're doing it every other week, and there's some months where there are 5 Wednesdays, so um, we'll see about that. And what else? Yeah, that's the nice thing. Very nice, amiga. Yes, very nice to see you here. And so good to see everybody. I feel like there's something else. All right, so let me just hold on a minute. Let's take a nice deep breath in, settle into yourself. Yeah, I think that was just taking that moment for that deeper connection. A little bit more. And Sadie, I'm going to say just even pull yourself even more deeply into your core. It's sort of like you've got this layer of static energy, and it's just around your body. So it's at the etheric level for you. Not that necessarily makes sense for you, but it does for people who work on different levels of the being. Uh, so pulling in, like feeling that and saying, that's not me. Coming in, feeling your body more tangibly, that's me. That'll help to separate out, coming even more center. Whether you feel like that, I don't know what you're familiar with. So there's an energy channel that runs along your spine. You can connect to your spine. There's a channel that runs right smack in the middle of your body. And just imagining this like a golden line or white line that just goes right through the center, pulling in. And it feels like what might be helpful also is the pranayama breathing, or breathing where you breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, hold for 4, without stressing about it, just to help reset the nervous system, because there's quite a bit in your nervous system. And that alone, little simple things like that will really be helpful to just help the nervous system reset. So, okay, Um, Thank you, everybody, for coming. I may not be here on the 4th, but we'll be here next week. Yes, very good. So thank you, everybody, for showing up. Good to see all my buddies here. Good to see everybody. And take care. See you in the ethers next week, and then we'll be back live together in human form on the on the 4th. So, all right, take care, everybody.